Welcome back, YouTube family. Today I'm starting off in a parking lot from a shopping center. In today's video, we're going to talk about why previous generations before Millennial had it easier and were more financially free than today. And that's what we're going to go over. I got some prices and some numbers right here, so I actually did some research about it, and I'm going to tell you about it and what I'm doing to prepare myself to not be in the rat race. So I've been reading a lot lately about articles like this where they're saying that millennials are the worst off out of all the generations before them. So that made me wonder, like, how much have prices gone up or down or all around, and seeing how much actually things costed. So I looked back 40 years, went back and pulled some numbers. So in 1980, a Toyota Corolla was priced at starting price of MSRP was $1,600. Now, to get an accurate number for that in today's world, I've pulled MSRP from today. And so that same Corolla now costs $21,500. So that means that before your previous generations beforehand had it way easier to make up that money because it was only $1,600, $1,700. But now we're talking about $21,500. So what does that mean? That might not mean a lot because you haven't made that much. So now let's look at the household income. So I pulled this household income from 1981. The average household income was $22,390. Well, today the average household income is $70,800. So looking at that, that is a huge difference. So that is a 3x factor. So we'll keep that in mind. So back in 1980, you were making 3 times less, and now in 2023, you're making 3 times more. So what does that have to do with the Camry, you might ask? Well, a Camry costed $1,600 back then, and now it's $21,500. That is a 13x difference, and your salary has not increased that much more than what they were paying back then. So your salary has come up 3x, and the car price has gone up 13x. So now let's look at housing costs, because that is also a huge thing that people are saying, that housing costs went up. So back in 1980, the average house was $47,200. So that, you heard me right, that is $47,200. That is what people pay on a car today. So into perspective, that is crazy. So today the average house is worth $436,800. So that means that is a factor of 9x. So it was 9 times cheaper to buy back then than it is today. So that means that your salary is the one thing on that list that did not go up as everything else did. So the Camry went up by 13x, your income went up only by 3x, and housing went up by 9x. So what does that have to do? Well, when I read articles saying that millennials are broke and can't make it, yeah, because the cost of goods and services has risen so much while salaries basically have not gone up. And now we take into consideration that there's student loans, so people have student loans. So that's even going to make it more difficult for people to pay the money back and to get ahead in life, because now your Camry, just to get from point A to point B, it's going to cost you 13 times more, housing costs 9 times more, and you only make 3 times more. So that should have been, in a perfect world, your salary should have gone up 9 times. So the average household income, to make it like it's back in 1980, should be about $200,000. So in order for you to not feel broke and feel same wealthy as the previous generations, you need to make so much more money. And I've spoke to some people in the comment section. Well, I didn't really speak. I was chatting with some people in the comment section, and they were saying, oh, they're doing fine. They're making 200 grand a year. Yes, you could buy whatever you want. we also make really good money, but for us, it's investing. So what we need to do is we need to invest our money so we can buy like real estate, that we can buy stocks, bonds, a whole bunch of other stuff, and real estate and companies, so we can be super prosperous and super wealthy when we retire, because we're trying to do that in the next 10 to 15 years. So when we go back to why millennials are way worse off, is because the costs in goods and services has risen so much that we are just not able to keep up with inflation, with all this crazy stuff that's going on, because salaries has not gone up that much. So how do you tackle that if you're going into college or trying to get ahead in life? Well, first of all, what we were doing is we lived below our means. I know, I hate saying that because it's so cheesy and so crazy. But what you gotta do is you gotta live like nobody else, so you can live like somebody else down the road. So even though I was married to Allison, we were always having, till like a year ago, we had like roommates that paid our mortgages. So you're basically house hacking in a single family home. And I know if you have kids, that might be really hard to do. But for us, we were like, man, we need a short-term sacrifice for long-term success. So we've always had roommates. I had roommates that puked across the counter at 1 a.m. in the morning because they were going to college. Then I had other roommates that got fired, that did a whole bunch of crazy stuff, and other roommates that partied while we were gone. So it wasn't always glamorous and perfect, but what you gotta do is you gotta do things differently to get ahead now in life than other people are doing. So when everybody's buying cars, you should be selling them. And if everybody's starting to buy luxury cars, you should buy beater cars. And when everybody's starting to buy beater cars because they can't afford it, it's your turn to buy a nice luxury car. But I know it's really difficult, even for me, to sacrifice my lifestyle, my comfort, because everything's kind of easy purchasable with credit. So all you basically do is, at the dealership, at least for us, was you just type in your social, you bring they'll look you up, you show 2 pay stubs online, and you're good to go. For me, the last car, they didn't even ask for any proof of income. They're like, oh, you guys make enough money, you don't even have to put money down. So we were basically not putting a single dollar down. And yes, the payment was higher, but I was like, man, at 3-4% interest, why worry when inflation is 8-9%? Why worry about 3-4% interest rates? And that works great till now. Now, with 8-9% interest rates, you got to put money down, and you cannot finance $80,000 cars in 2023 with high interest rates if you try to get ahead. And I've heard so many people say, oh, you should just get what you get, that feeling at the end of the day that you get while driving a nice car, or while going out to eat and live like nobody else. Yeah, that's amazing. Kudos to you. You basically put your 1 hour or 45 minutes of feeling great, making you cost your retirement when you're going to be in retirement age, when you're going to be in your 50s and 60s, and you don't want to work as hard. You basically sabotaged yourself for a lower retirement account, because you were like, I gotta feel good when I'm driving the nice car. Yeah, if you're a realtor and you need to show up and you feel like you're credible and you buy a Porsche or something, I get that. But if you're just going to working at Target, working at a normal office manager, you just need to get from point A to point B fairly inexpensive with reliability. So when you look at stuff like how to do that, the one that I showed before, like, oh, the Kia Rio, people were like, oh, it's a beater car. The one that I've shown right here, that's like, oh, I like it. Yeah, after the warranty's done, you should get rid of it. But I can buy 3 Kia Rios instead of one luxury car. So I can drive 150,000 miles with no worries and still have lost less, because when you look at the depreciation from a Kia Rio, it's not really gonna be that much on 50,000 miles. So it's all about, life all about comes into what you want out of it. Do you wanna retire now? Do you wanna retire with a lot of money? Do you wanna retire with short amount? Do you wanna really sacrifice now for a brighter future? And what's your plan? What's important to you? Because if finances aren't that important to you and you just want to have a good time, that's also a way of looking at life. I don't do that. I think that's very one-dimensional. You need to look at it from a way more 3D perspective and say, this is what you need to do in order to cut costs, save money, and jump into retirement. Because I feel like when I went to school and a bunch of other people in my classes, they've never really spoke about, oh, this is how you retire financially free. This is what you got to do. But they're all telling you costs are going to rise. And it's just really difficult for my generation to get ahead and find ways how to make money in a way that's going to stick and not just going to go down the drain because of cars and paperless things that don't really mean stuff, like stock, bonds, cryptos, that don't really mean much, but you're trying to buy it, but you can't because your car payment's too high and there's nothing left over. So it's not that it's like meaningless paper, but it's like meaningless in order for you to be happy in a form where it gives you pleasure. So jumping into that topic with retirement, I feel like not a lot of people say what's really truthful and how to actually get there, because everybody's like, oh, you just got to make more money and you just got to invest. But I've known people that make $500,000 or $200,000 a year and are still broke because they have such a big spending. They spend so much that they didn't invest when they were broke, and so now they're also not investing because they have such great income. So they're like, I'm going to start investing in the next 2 years. Oh, I'm going to do it later on. Oh, I'll do it a little bit later on. So now you have somebody that's make $300,000-$400,000 a year and didn't learn how to invest when they had like almost no money. So it's just so different from from when you're like making no money to making a lot more, because you still need to put it away. So habits that aren't learned with no money aren't going to be there when you have lots of money. So, and I think that not a lot of people say that. When you can't manage your finances making $50,000 a year, but you want to manage finances making $500,000 a year, first of all, there's two wrong things looking at it. So first of all, if you can't manage money then, why would you be able to manage money then? And I think that good money habits will succeed you and help you out in the long term to get these higher paying jobs. So I know very few people that are really, really wealthy that are not good with money. So if you're very wealthy, high likelihood you are wealthy. So the costs have risen so much. Let me know if you agree or disagree in the comment section below. But let me know if I missed anything, and if you say no, new generations have it way easier than older generations. And let me know what you think about the economy and the stock market and how you feel about this whole outcome of finances. And let me know what kind of other topics you want me to go over, and I'll give you my take on it, and I'll see you in the next video.